Hi, jewells68 here for Talk to Me Tuesday on Thursday, July 14th. I obviously didn't get a video made Tuesday, and yesterday my day off turned into a half day, so I decided to spend the morning, after doing my usual morning chores, I decided to spend the morning working on piecing a back for Phoebe's Project of Doom. I kept having to undo what I did. It was just one of those mornings where things just weren't going right, and I finally gave up and figured I'd finish later. But my original plan, because this was the backing that I bought, but the problem with this was, obviously, it wasn't backing fabric, it was regular fabric, so it was only 43 inches wide. So about extra yardage, but I decided I didn't have enough to do the entire back out of that fabric. So I got the great idea, since I was going to have to do a pieced back anyway, of using some of the awesome original Harry Potter licensed fabric that Jennifer had given me many years ago. She had given me a couple of the pillow panels, and so I started piecing. I had this strip pieced together, which basically would have been the inserted strip. I would have had this, and then more of the starry fabric, that's the rest of the back at the top and bottom, and it was exactly the right width to make it the width that I needed. However, I was almost done piecing the back, and I realized this is lovely, and I don't want to destroy it, and if it's on the back, and then I quilt it, and I'm quilting around the books, and I'm quilting the shelves and the objects, it's going to end up getting mangled on the back, and you're not even going to be able to see it. So I decided instead I would make one or two coordinating throw pillows to go with her, with some of the leftover fabric from the quilt. And instead I decided to use more of this. I dug around until I found it. I knew I had quite a bit left. So this is the castle fabric that I ended up using for her Project of Doom right here. So I started piecing that. I think it looks pretty good with the backing fabric. So that's going to be the pieced fabric, but I was almost done doing that strip, and then I realized I had sewn the right side of one fabric to the wrong side of the other fabric, and that's when I just called it quits. So that's all I've done on that. As you can see right here, I do have my August birthday blocks done. What I ended up doing was using the, for this one, this was leftover fabric from the X-Files quilt for my trees, and she wanted dark green, and I let her choose from the dark greens that I felt like I had enough fabric of for this block, but I used that Missouri Star quilt store method of making quick half square triangle, 4 at a time, half square triangle units. You take two squares that are the same size, put them right sides together, and you stitch a 1/4 inch around all 4 sides, 1/4 inch from the edge, and then you just cut it diagonally right down the middle, and voila, you have 4 perfect half square triangle units. You just have to trim off the ends just like you would with any others, without having to worry about weird stretching from the triangles and all that jazz. So I did this one. I did these half square triangle units using that, and I made 16. You need 16 to do this block, because she didn't want me to use my paper pieced block. She needed to see those triangles. So this one, however, I was able to use that method to make, I think, 4 of the half square triangle units, maybe 8. I was able to make half of them using that method, but as far as the rest of them were concerned, my pieces of green were just too small to do that with. So I had actually, in Quilt Assistant, I had actually designed a 3.5 inch template, paper piecing template or paper piecing pattern for a single half square triangle unit that's 3.5 inches. So I pieced the remaining half of these half square triangle units utilizing those little templates I had made. I think it worked out pretty well. This one actually worked out better, I think, than this one did. Well, maybe I'm looking at it wrong. I don't know. Frankly, I would have preferred to paper piece it because my triangles would have come out, all of these points would have come out perfect, but I made it the way she wanted me to. It was all traditionally pieced, the rows. I think it came out good enough. I compared it to the sample that the recipient made to demonstrate what she wanted, and it seemed to be at least as good as hers, so I figure it'll work. This is the last birthday until October. I've got cats going to Australia in October, and then there's a lady who lives, I think, on the East Coast of the U.S. Hers is also in October. Her birthday is actually the day before mine. So I'm not going to worry about those right now. My focus right now is going to be to get Phoebe's quilt done in time for her to take it with her to the dorm. As something that hopefully would help me with that, I've had such a hard time with basting the last couple of quilts I've done that I ended up, I got an email from Craftsy, and they had the Hobbs fusible batting on sale, and while I prefer 100% cotton batting, this is 80% cotton, 20% polyester. The idea of fusible batting really appealed to me. My plan is to, I think, that should arrive Saturday, so my plan is to, I think, take it up to my office. Our break room has square tables that I think if I put most of them together, I'll just clean them really good with like a Clorox wipe or whatever. But I think if I push them together, I will have enough space to baste the quilt there and not have to get on the floor anywhere, because I just can't do any more floor basting. With my back and my knees, I just can't do it. So that's going to be my plan for this. I want to get it basted, and I have completed my DIY sewing machine extension table. So I'm going to pause this, turn this camera around, and show you that. This is the finished product. You can see my Kenmore there. I'm going to come up here. I did pretty well, I think, getting it to fit in snugly. I'll try not to make you guys nauseated, but what this has done is give me a 2 foot by 4 foot. Well, basically from the end of the machine, I have an additional 2 feet at least. Actually closer to 3 feet. Yeah. It's closer to 3 feet because the foam was 4 feet long by 2 feet wide. The table is 4 feet by 2 feet. So this right here that you're seeing, this surface, is super smooth. That is contact paper. I'll just take you around here so you can see. I actually have the contact paper covering all the corners. And basically, I mean, what it boiled down to is I took the 2 pieces of foam. This is 2 pieces of 2 by 4, 1.5 inch thick foam stacked on top of each other. I taped it in a few spots, a couple of spots on each of the 4 sides to keep it nice and secure while I cut it. So there you have it. That's going to be my quilting area. Okay, so there you have it. I basically took the 2 by 4 by 1.5 inch, 2 of those pieces of foam. With a little bit of duct tape, I secured it on all 4 sides, just in a few spots to keep it from shifting when I cut it. I did actually experiment to figure out exactly where I wanted the opening to be for the sewing machine, but I tried it in a few spots before I marked it with a Sharpie around where I was going to cut. I used a electric bread knife, an electric carving knife, like for a turkey. It's basically 2 blades that do this, but they're right next to each other. They sort of like slide next to each other, and they're serrated. It worked perfectly. I mean, like that. It cut through it like butter. I mean, it was great. So I highly recommend that method. It did leave a little bit of styrofoam mess, but really not that much. I did, since this foam had been cut from one big piece of foam, I had more raw edges than originally I would have had. along the side. So I did cover all of that with duct tape just to keep little bits of foam from falling off while I'm using it. I covered all of the seams with duct tape. I covered the raw edges with duct tape. And then I covered everything with the contact paper that I had on hand. So it was super easy. I did it in like an hour. I mean, it was so fast. Yeah, it was super easy. I will let you know after I'm actually quilting on it if, you know, what I think. So far, just sewing on it, because I've been piecing the back on it, it's been really nice having all that extra space to my left. Even with the machine, I'm just having to shift the fabric a lot less, I notice, as I'm doing long seams. So that's really nice. So I may just sew on it that way too, and not just, I do have the Singer set up over to the right on the other table. But that's going to be more for if I need to piece something while I have a quilt on the Kenmore. So that's really what that's for. Yeah, so that's it. So hopefully I will already be in the process of quilting it the next time you see me. If not, I will at least hopefully have it basted and ready to start quilting. I will continue watching your videos. I've only gotten through a couple this week. And I look forward to seeing you next week. Bye!